代な君のためなら次から見る裏といくらだ
All right, welcome. Welcome to the few of you that are here already. Okay. For those that don't know, I was just playing a little bit of Deer and Gray. Fucking love Deer and Gray. Grew up on it. Early albums to now. That was from their album. I don't even know. It's just Arc Shade or what? But it's from what is it? 2014. Yeah, 2014 album. Very good stuff. Very good stuff. Great album. Deer and Gray is fucking awesome. Just it has that like just enough metal mixed with visual K and like I don't know, it's just good shit. Good stuff. In any case, welcome, all of you creatures of the void. Yeah, it looks like we're good. Okay, so I have a little bit of a talk. Today's Tuesday, so remember it's Topical Tragedy Tuesdays. So it's where I come up with some idea or I talk about something that's been kind of in my head that I think is worth talking about again. Sometimes I'll bring up the same matters or the same issues because the way I see it is I get like new people watching me and new people finding my channel and new people getting a schizoid diagnosis or looking into it and stuff like that. So because of that reason, sometimes I like to bring up certain themes again. And I'll probably be doing that on like Tuesdays, or if I ask a question related to it on Saturdays. I know for some of you that have been following me for a long time, maybe I'll kind of repeat certain things again. But I mean, you can't say things just once, right? Because I'm trying to like reach out to like anybody right out there that deals with the Zoid problems, and they're looking for a little bit of fucking hope. See, Jacob Mason, yay, my psych finally said I'm schizoid this morning. I like how you said yay, but no point diagnosing me. No more self-doubt, hopefully. No, it's perfectly fine. No, it's good to know, yeah. I like that you said yay, but that'll maybe put certain things like imposter syndrome and other issues at rest for a while. So yeah, I know how that be, Jacob Mason. I'll just say Jacob. I'm dumb and I keep like boomerang out, and I have to figure out a way to just put like the chats on here like next to me or something. Like I know how to do it, but I don't know how to do it on OBS. I used to be able to do it pretty easily on like this other thing that I was using, but I didn't want to pay for fucking removing the watermark or whatever, so I might end up doing it. But OBS just works so much better. It's like crazy better. Anyway, for those that usually show up early or right on time, or if you watch the VOD, I usually give updates on stuff going on with me. So if that's boring, just kind of ignore this part or skip this part if you're watching the VOD if you're not interested. Let's see here. I actually got my psych back. Finally, I got my psychologist back after months of insurance bullshit. I got to actually have a session with them today, and that was really, really cool to update them on some stuff. This is a person I really respect and has been helping me with all this stuff for about like 3 years now, I think. Yeah, unfortunately, like they're booked up. So like, because I was actually telling them, I'm like, man, you should start like treating more Zoids and stuff. Like I feel like you have the listening ability and the type of approach that could be helpful. And they were just like, yeah, I'm already booked up. I'm like, yeah, I know. That's unfortunate. But I'm sure there's more people like her out there that kind of have a more metacognitive approach to therapy and psychology. So it's really, really interesting. Like she kind of puts herself in a similar headspace, even though it's not her headspace, right? But she tries to see it. She doesn't try to tell me um, how to be, what is this, what is that. So, um, if I say something that she finds to be like personally questionable or something, like it doesn't get brought up, but there's no evidence of it. It's just she's professional. She's in the headspace. I mean, and yeah, it's a pretty interesting psych I have. But I'm glad I got them back. I got took care of the insurance shit. It was funny too because when I lost them, I thought like I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I'm seeing like I've had a lot of improvement and stuff. And then of course during the time that she isn't available because of insurance stuff, like all this shit hits the fan like in that month or that I think it was like 4 months that I couldn't talk to them or something. But like a bunch of shit hits the fan, like damn. And I was just like, God damn it! Like that's the chances of all that right happening during that one gap of time. Medication's still cool. Forgot to take my Wellbutrin today, but it's okay. It's only one day. I'll just take it tomorrow at the same time I'm supposed to. I kind of spaced out on that, but I don't make it a habit, so it should be fine. Outside of that, I think I don't know if I have any other updates. Somebody, I had some new people join my Patreon, and that's really, really cool. So, anytime people do that or upgrade their whatever, I really appreciate it. You don't have to do anything like that, but it's nice. And I know some of you do it because whatever it is that I'm saying or doing is having some kind of either interesting or it's having some kind of positive effect on your current situation or mental state, or it did, or I don't know, so that's good. Anyway, so the topic that I wanted to actually cover today in kind of association with some of this is the topic of being perceived, right? Being seen. And that means a lot of different things, right? That means a lot of stuff is the music too loud, by the way? If the music's too loud, tell me in chat. But being perceived can mean a lot of things, right? Some people have asked me, I'm like, how do you do what you do, Angst? It's a little too loud. Okay, yeah, I kind of thought maybe it was a little too loud. I like it loud. Here we go. All right, that should help. But as I was, why is it doing that? Don't do it. Okay. As I was saying, yeah, they'll ask me like, Angst, how do you do this? Like, I can't even imagine being like seen by like more than one person or two people at a time, much less like, you know, the even the 12, 13, sometimes 16, 17 people that watch me during a stream, or the, bunches, hundreds, I guess, of people that see me on the videos in the channel or on other people's things. How do you deal with that? For me, it's never really been too much of an issue about being like visually seen. I know for some Zoids, it's a big issue. They don't want to like be perceived or seen like physically. For some Zoids like me, it's more about being seen. Being seen in people seeing things that I am not actively openly showing them, like them like seeing other stuff or being accurate about it is very uncomfortable. Or like I don't know how to explain it. It's a difficult thing to explain in my case. It's like it's more of a like a being seen kind of thing, right? Not like literally being seen or heard. That's not like I'm indifferent to being seen or heard, like unless I have a goal in mind, which I do with this. So I'm not like I don't feel good or bad about being like visually seen or heard. I think I might have been uncomfortable with it early on when I did this stuff, but not anymore. That's for sure, not at all. But when somebody can actually like when somebody leaves a comment, and this is by no means like don't do that, right? But when somebody leaves a comment, or says something, or emails me or DMs me something that like I don't know, like they say something about me and they notice something about me, um, that I know is true, but that they felt they noticed, about what I say, what I might mean, or maybe they might ask, "Do you mean this by what you said here?" And how do you like they'll and like and sometimes they'll say something like that, and that'll be like I'll have an aversion to it, but I've learned a lot more that that's not good to have an aversion to that. That's something I can use for the work I do and everything. But yeah, like I don't like when unless it's me talking about it like to you guys listening. I don't really like I don't know how to put it. I don't really like making things about me, right? Like, does that make sense? Like, I don't really like it when the project and everything I work on, it gets talked about in regards to it being about me, and also in regards to what that means to me, and then being told what things mean to me, when even if it's true, even if it's accurate, makes me uncomfortable, like incredibly uncomfortable. And I can recognize that that's not it's probably not good, especially considering the stuff I do. But yeah. Look, if somebody were to say like, "Oh, I remember you said this about why you do this," and they talk to me about it, it makes me feel funks. Sometimes I can just like ignore it and then just like talk anyway. But it makes me that makes me feel seen, and that makes me uncomfortable. Um, I don't like making things about me either. Connor Jonathan on Twitch, and I don't really like being perceived, but it's never usually overly debilitating unless I'm pressed at the time, as opposed to regularly anhedonic. Yeah, no, yeah, I can see that for sure, for sure. Like, um, yeah, I don't know. That's why, like, whenever somebody tells me something like, "Oh, this is good that you do this," that makes me a little weird. I'm like, okay, yeah, but I can handle that. But if they tell me like, "Oh, you said this the other day on the stream, and I really understood what you were saying about how this made you felt, because I can feel that too, and so when I saw you saying it, like like it's just like it's about me. Stop." Um, I don't know. It's a weird for me. It's like a really weird kind of perceived type thing. Um, that gets like kind of funky. Um, fucking Shadow's like hey Shadow's like wrong. I would say 70% of the time when they make guesses about my motivations, but it's still like don't stop that. And then but then when they're right, it's like extra just stop. Fucking Shadow. So that one's weird. The Shadows apparently enjoys making me uncomfortable that way. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, let's see what else we got here. Reminds me of once when you said you liked Morbius because he was hidden while helping, or something like that. Yeah. That's why those times that I was with Greenberg and she like pulled shit out about me, like the tarot. If you haven't seen the tarot one, that shit made me so fucking uncomfortable because she was like saying stuff about me that was true and like accurate, and I don't like to hear it back. I don't like to hear what's inside me about me and why I do what I do back to me. I don't like that. That makes me like feel really really vulnerable and gross, and like I'm being like gazed upon or something, like on a more symbolic level. And since I'm a fucking schizo-spectrum sort of guy, like, it's the symbolic kind of weird overarching stuff that'll make me more uncomfortable than like, oh, the concrete physically seeing me and hearing me. Like, I'm that's whatever. Right? That's just vocal cords and meat. It's meat. It's my meat talking. You know. So I don't know. Anyway, so that's how I feel about perception, and I wanted to know, and that's my version of it, right? But I wanted to hear stuff I'm gonna read stuff in chat, or if anybody wants to join me, about the aversion to being perceived on a like concrete level, like physically seen. But why? Why don't you want to be physically seen, or heard, or even worse, not understood, but like more intimately seen? Like, that's, I guess, what makes me uncomfortable. Or if it's, something like that. Something like that. It's so ridiculous, though, in my case, because, like, I openly talk about really, I guess, private things that would have been, because I'm just kind of, hey, I have to talk about this stuff because that's my experience, and it's necessary to facilitate this, and it's fine when I'm like, yeah, but I don't know why I can't. Yeah. Even like in an interview space, it's okay because I'm like there of my own volition to answer questions. And it's still me saying the things. Like, oh, I can't even imagine somebody like, say, writing like a fucking essay about like who I am and what I'm about and my motivations, and like, I couldn't read that. I would just be like, nah, fuck that. Can't read it. Put it somewhere else. Yeah, I know you do, Shadow. Fucking drives me nuts. But it's only like because of my own weird little versions. Okay, so and it doesn't matter because most of the time you're absolutely wrong about me, which is pretty funny. You're like always throwing shit against the wall, and you're only right like a few times, and I try to make it very not clear when you're right or wrong, because that's really uncomfortable. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and open it up to whoever's on here with me. Being wrong is still useful, I guess. Disagree, I guess, on that one. When it comes to I'd rather you just not try to guess shit about me. Shadow. I mean, if you want to do it on your own, that's fine. Just don't tell me about it. Because shit. I realize like that's the kind of stuff that makes me like, I don't know, man. I just want to know. Yeah, but yeah, I know, Shadow. I get where you're coming from with it, but you definitely can't solve my problems, so don't try. No, please. I hate you, Shadow. You're the fucking worst. You're fucking garbage person. Anyway, so yeah, let me switch over to here. I got rid of the stuff at the top because I got bored of it. There's your Shadow. You paid for it. All right, so let me see here. So if anybody wants to hop on and talk about this subject with me, just remember to all you got to do is join the Angst live stream VC channel. You don't even need to have the Schizoid role to be able to join and talk. If you're not a Schizoid or you haven't gone through the application process, you don't have the role and you haven't gone through the application process, just DM me what you want to talk about, and then I can give you a unique role that lets you talk on here, called Trusted Anexite. But if you already have the Schizoid role, you can basically just jump on and start talking or listening or whatever it is you want to do on here, and that's perfectly fine. I know a lot of you won't do that because of the very topic that I'm covering, right? That's what's so interesting about it. Like, the very topic I'm covering is literally the reason why you won't join to talk to me, and it's also part of the reason why you likely don't type anything in chat as well. because I can't believe that you know, that I'll have like 17 people watching and only like the same one or two people actually type something in chat. And I'm guessing, not trying to call you out, but I'm guessing it's because of that reason. I'm guessing it's because you know, typing something and then it's on the stream is kind of being perceived. Talking on here is being perceived. Things like that. Because I can't imagine you would sit there for like an hour and a half hearing me talk and not have a single fucking thought about it. Because otherwise, why would you bother tuning in? I'd assume it would just be boring or some kind of thoughts passing through your head. Nah, because they're just bots. Sick, Khalil. So does that mean you, Don on YouTube? Let's see here. So does that mean you like the surface level DSM criteria as it's applied to Zoids? I know what I think you mean, but it still seems contradictory, doesn't it? The surface level DSM criteria as it's applied. What do you mean more specifically, Don? I'm not really. There's a lot of surface level DSM criteria. I'm not. What are you specifying? Now I feel weird about my comments being seen. I normally only expect it being seen when speaking out loud. Sorry, Jacob. No, that's not. I don't need to add another reason for people not to fucking say anything. It's always been a problem for like the last 3 years. Like that's one of been like more difficult things about trying to run this is I don't really get a lot of feedback from like the very people that watch me, outside of the occasional comment on the YouTube channel. It's really hard to know a lot of stuff. I get feedback sporadically from like rando Zoids out there that will send me like a random DM, and then I'll even like ask a question in return, and they just don't talk. They just don't say anything after that. It's just the one DM, and they don't respond to any. There's like, what's that meme? Enters room, says thing, refuses to elaborate. That's like a lot of schizoids, man. They'll just walk in and they'll slide into my DMs, make a proclamation or a thought, and then just refuse to elaborate. Fucking Chadzoids. Just don't give a fuck. So yeah. Let's see here. I'd like to know what you mean, Don, about the surface level. I don't know what you mean by liking it. I don't know that I like it. I mean, I'm interested in aspects of it. I don't think that's all there is to any of this at all. So are you going to be a fucking Chad and not elaborate, or are you going to be a virgin? Are you going to be a virgin elaborator? Shit's so stupid. Fucking dumb old memes. Oh, there we go. As related to your preference for impersonal versus deeper level understanding, I get the reluctance to be observed, but how do we go deeper without it? Oh no, I'm not saying that. That's why I said earlier that my aversion to it is not good for me, and I've learned how to overcome a bunch of it. So there are people in my life now that I will be vulnerable, and they can see me, and it's okay to feel good about being seen, right? So yeah, so it's okay to be good, but yeah. So but that's a very rare thing I have with anybody. So I mean, there are people that I actively like and consider like a friend now that I can make them, but I still, I don't know that I would be comfortable being like super seen. There's very few people that I kind of will allow that to occur, and even then it makes me feel flunky, but I know it's good for me because it's I know it's a defense. I know it's a defense, and it's actually I'm defending against something that ultimately is good for my psyche, long term. even if I have defenses up for short term, I have to like basically realize, oh, wait a minute, these defenses are applicable to many situations and reasonable, but they are not applicable to this current situation as it's happening because this situation is different. And so I have to kind of go through that process in my mind, and then it's okay. Then it makes it okay. Um, and if it's somebody that's another Zoid, they're doing the same thing. If their goal is to also allow such an occurrence to be available, but oftentimes it's couched in humor. So, yeah, I'm not going to get into it. I don't want to talk about it. No, yeah. It's just funny. I can like openly talk about some like heavy shit about myself very easily, but some stuff is a lot harder. Yeah. Anyway, Connor, Jonathan, on Twitch. The only person I really allow to perceive me is my housemate, a university friend, 4 years. It's mainly because I know they're not mentally great either, and they handle my weirdness well. Yeah, that's always incredibly helpful, for sure, there, Connor. Don, I get it. I just wanted to point out the dilemma in what we deal with, the difficulty of being known personally or collectively. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like people knowing me personally is way more comfortable than if people know me in some like collective fashion. I don't care about that. I can give two shits. Like I'm literally just like I don't give a fuck. But yeah. So like if yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get into it. I think I joined Discord a while ago to lurk, but I find Discord complicated and only use it to DM my only friend normally. I mean, it's worth it, Jacob. I would say it's worth it, man. The server's pretty great, and I would say fucking what do you call it? Sack up and learn how to use this shit. And join the server if you haven't. There might be some good shit in there for you. It'll be worth the effort, I would say. We run a tight little ship, and if you haven't applied to get into the Zoid Void Schizoid channels, even if you're gonna lurk, it's I think it's a really great idea. That's what I tell you guys. Like, even if you want to join the server just to lurk, and the only time you ever write or send a message in it is to apply to get in, we don't even like, yeah, we'll just, yeah. Anyway, that's it. You can just join to lurk, and I can tell you right now, just lurking there might prove useful or beneficial, or at least you might read a few things in there that you find validating or comforting or something. So yeah, I high recommend. 10 out of 10. Connor, Twitch, guess I related topic is on whether to mention to her that, wait, what are you reading? Oh yeah, to mention to her, the person you do. I'm pretty sure I'm Zoid, and I noticed I would help explain the huge deal my quirks and behavior to her, but one deep dive of it would give her a scary level of insight into my head. I mean, yeah, that's a decision that ultimately like Zoids have to kind of make if they come across a situation that's safe enough for something of that type to occur. There is the possibility of misunderstanding, which is anathema to most schizoids, for them to openly say something and then the other person completely misattributes and misunderstands what they're saying without asking further questions to clarify things. A lot of people don't do that. They don't ask further questions for clarification. They just kind of make assumptions, and that's a pretty scary prospect for a lot of schizoids about attempting to communicate something about themselves internally. I would say another issue is even having the words to do so that are appropriate, so that again no misattributions or misunderstandings hopefully occur that'll just lead to further problems. From my experience, one of the worst things someone that has this PD can experience is when you feel like, say it's been a long situation and a person has like shown themselves to be pretty safe to talk to, not very emotionally reactive to you stating an opinion about something or talking about certain things, and then you finally you finally like get the cojones to like try to kind of express something more internal, and then like they immediately make it about something negative about them. And it's like, oh man, that's the fucking worst. That's the worst feeling. Because you're like, cool, it's about you and stuff, right? And also, like, great, like now this hurt somebody, and that's not what I was trying to fucking do. And then you go back into the trenches and regret ever doing any of it, and wish you could erase. Yeah, that's a common situation, I would say. I don't think anybody's hot dog out there. No, just me yammering by myself. It's a Tuesday. It's hard to get people on here on a Tuesday. Yeah. On a positive note, so this is an interesting one, guys. A little separate from the topic, but I think interesting. The nonprofit organization that I'm trying to like get built for a lot of schizoid stuff, a lot of neurodivergent sort of advocacy for different forms of therapy kind of ideas. I had enough contribution to it to be able to turn it into possibly something tax exempt, because it costs like a good chunk of change to like make one of these things tax exempt. I have to apply. I don't know how long the process takes. It's going to cost a little bit, a few pennies that I've been kind of holding on to so I can do it. And yeah, once that occurs, then hopefully I can start basically pitching it more on the streams or in other places, mentioning it to some of my connects networking wise, and seeing if I can get stuff started. What I'm thinking, I was having this discussion with a few other peeps regulars on the server, and I've been DMing back and forth with a few people on the matter, and I've been reading into it and just seeing what other people are talking about and stuff on the server itself. And I think initially, and like I'm stupid, so I'm trying to figure out how one would even go about this properly. I think initially what I think would be beneficial would be to either fundraise in some capacity or another, but to collect money to essentially help Zoids that can't pay for or are having trouble with attaining even online therapy, or specific types of therapists that might actually know how to help them out, and paying for that. Because I'm constantly reading on the server and in comments and stuff like that about how like, oh yeah, I haven't been able to, like, I can't afford it, or in my country this, or in my country that. And, in some countries it's easier to get mental health support stuff, and even in the countries where it's easy or easier, it's really difficult to get a hold of a psychologist, therapist, psychiatrist, whatever, that actually knows a lot about cluster A personality disorders, and to find some like legitimate help that could, and usually the reason it's harder is because in my opinion, the only kind of therapy or psychological approach that would even be, because there's a lot of work to be done, but I'm trying to keep myself grounded and go, well, people need help now, so what's available? And a lot of the conventional psych stuff out there isn't going to be all that beneficial. It might be good for dealing with specific symptoms and issues like anxiety and depression, and getting a psych to take the right kind of medication and stress stuff. And I know for me, medication's been significantly helpful for both the ADHD as well as the depression and anxiety. So, but my point being is there are like psychologists and therapists that kind of use less conventional approaches And I'm not just talking about stuff like Gestalt therapy, but which Gestalt that style can be actually quite useful to a lot of certain cases of schizoids. Um, and then there are other kind of more like newer, less often, or less. There's like a one called there's I've been looking into. It's not like because there's there's CBT and DBT, but there's a radicalized form of it's called radicalized DBT or radical. Sorry, radicalized. Yeah, radicalized DBT, politically radicalized DBT. No, no, it's radical DBT that can that supposedly is working with peeps that are on other clusters, and but there's elements of it that could be useful. So just very kind of more. When I say newer, I'm talking about like in the last 15 years, or 20 years, like newer, less used styles and methods and approaches that could be more suitable. And finding somebody that does that kind of stuff is pretty tough. And if you can find them, they generally don't take like, they're probably not going to be like taking, what's it called, public insurance, or they might not, or the person that could use their help is in a country where it won't be covered, overseas, or something like that. So that's the kind of shit that I want to work toward helping with, because I mean that's just step one, right? That's all you can really do for now. I got, like I said, I got hella lucky with my psychologist. So, oh, hold on, let me I think I saw somebody jump on. Let me there we go. Hi there, Screech. I think that's you. If you're muted, let me see. What roles do you have? Oh, you got the schizoid. Yeah, you can unmute if you want to talk or whatever. Perfectly fine. Screech. You should be able to unmute, I think. But if you don't want to, that's fine. You can just chill. But this is, I don't know I can't remember. I'm so bad at keeping track of usernames unless I see them all the time. So I'm not sure if you've talked on here before, but yeah, this is a live stream one, but you're more than welcome to chill there if that's what you want to do. Does anybody in chat have anything? Well, let me see. You guys have been posting some stuff. Even just having a directory for therapists who can provide specific therapies would be useful. Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm Screech. It won't let me unmute for some reason. All right, John, let me see here. Or Screech, you have the role. Oh, let me see here. Roles. Yeah, you have the schizoid role. That doesn't make any sense. That's weird. Okay, well, let me try giving you this. No, you shouldn't need that. So what happens when you hit unmute? Like, it just won't let you? Because earlier I was deafened, so if you were trying to say anything, I couldn't hear you, but it won't let you unmute? That doesn't make any sense, since you have the schizoid role. No, oh well, that's whack. Here, let me see if I can do something. Icon wiggles basically doesn't let me do any problem on my end? Okay. Let's try this. You have like a headset, you're already, maybe, hold on, let's try this. I don't think this will do it, but, okay, try jumping off and jumping back on. Withers, can you check to see if it lets you talk? Withers, does it let you unmute, Withers? Because I gave you the other additional role that should let you talk. I'm wondering if there's something wrong on my end, because I want to see if Withers, son of a bitch, you hear me? Is it letting you talk, or is it not allowing me to talk in the channel on the internet browser version? Interesting. Okay, that's fucking strange. Alright, Screech, that means it's not your end. There's something going on here. Let me double check the channel settings, because that's really, really strange. Alright. Permissions. Okay, let me see here. It doesn't make any sense.
Hello?
Yeah, there we go. What changed?
I don't know.
Nothing, but I pushed a button that said allow me to use the microphone, and I did do that.
Oh, okay. Well, Shadow's working. Withers. Okay, wait, Screech. It says you're unmuted now.
Yeah, the web browser version is just broken at the moment.
Oh, okay. That's all it was. Good, good. Yeah. All right. So, is there anything you wanted to chime in on there, Screech, about all this shit I've been kind of bringing up?
Yeah, I just recently went through a few sessions of therapy for terminating it. It's pretty interesting how difficult it is even to get started with it. I mean, in both cases where I tried to get into therapy, we immediately broke off at the start trying to set goals for therapy. It was pretty mandatory, but couldn't come up with anything.
Like, could you elaborate? I'd like to know what you mean. Like, they wanted you to set goals, but you couldn't, and so they couldn't move forward. Is that what it was?
Yeah, quite. It's quite odd because you mentioned as well it is more so oriented towards specific issues, which is very difficult to get when it seems to be more so a fundamental thing, like you find with it, of course, this condition.
Okay. Are you have you been on before?
Yeah, I have once.
Okay. Are you diagnosed?
I'm not. No.
Oh, okay. But you've tried to bring it up and it's just not enough. Like, because I'm trying to figure out like would a goal be to determine if this is the case or not based on certain parameters. I don't know if that'd be a goal of some kind, or what kind of goals would they be asking for? Like, do they want you to like I want to not do this, or I want to do this more? Is that what they mean?
It seems to be so. It's something that has to be quite specific and concrete, which I don't know. In both cases where I saw therapy, it's just never been able to get to that point. Never been able to generate something for us to work on.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, how about if you don't mind, would you mind like if I ask a question or two to see if maybe we can possibly suss something out?
Sounds helpful.
Yeah. Okay. So that maybe you can give your psych some feedback. Remember, I'm not a medical professional. Blah blah blah. I'm just a loser on the internet that knows about this stuff. Okay. So. All right. So did you decide to start going to therapy, or did you recommend it?
Somewhat. I was referred to it through my old psychiatrist, though I no longer see them. It's just psychotherapy was the only thing that was ever offered, really.
Okay. So what is your current situation as far as like symptoms you deal with or problems and stuff?
I've been dealing with like chronic suicidal thoughts and self-harm problems for years now due to this.
Okay, is this something that is a problem for you as far as like having these thoughts?
Like,
Okay, I kind of figured. So, would arguably not a goal be to discuss get to the bottom of why these thoughts are even occurring, and how to attempt to mitigate the damage they cause?
Well, for me, one thing that I found to be a point of difficulty was I did not feel comfortable trying to get into the specifics of how I came to my analysis of my own understanding of my own problems. It was more so trying to take the content of how these mechanisms manifest in my case, then come to a sort of abstracted analysis of that, which I would then present to my therapist, and then operate within that to see if there's any more so logical flaws in it, and then change that analysis and apply it to myself. Like, there's a level of abstraction that makes it a very indirect process, but that was the only way I felt comfortable in approaching therapy. But that just did not seem to mesh out in any of the ways I tried.
What about making a goal out of understanding why that makes you uncomfortable to begin with, and then start approaching some kind of exposure to that little by little in order to gain some ground on that department to eventually get to the meat of things. What about that being a particular goal?
Like, I can tell you from my experience, that is not something I would really be willing to do, really, under any circumstances.
Oh, that's interesting. Because the reason I bring it up is because ultimately, would that not be a precursor to getting any kind of benefit from such a practice, such a thing? But like essentially, like it's like you can't. What aspects of it could okay? How about this? Is there a potential way to seek what you're seeking without going through that very process?
If there is a way to do that, it wouldn't have been through psychotherapy.
And where do you think it would be through? Like what other types of things do you think would be other types of options?
I wish I knew that myself.
Okay, so it can't be psychotherapy because you're averse to specific aspects of being able to communicate certain types of internal information to your therapist. Okay, here's like a thought, because it's kind of like one of those things where it like sucks, but what if undergoing that suffering of doing something you're highly averse to is part of the very process itself, and refusal is what would possibly ultimately be keeping you from making any progress because of an avoiding of a specific type of discomfort or suffering.
Well, I have made that analysis myself, and I do consciously make that decision that I do recognize, despite the potentially morbid consequences of such a decision, I do still prefer that option, which is, again, probably why I'm having such difficulties in approaching therapy. I just don't know what else is available.
That's interesting, because, like, isn't preferring that option resigning yourself to the possibility of a really bad outcome?
Right, that seems to be the case.
So I'm just trying to figure out how or why it would be that the outcome, which is potentially pretty darn bad, is outweighing the possible or the levels of discomfort it would cause to not make that decision.
At least by my own analysis, it actually goes the other way, that death would be the preferable option.
Oh, okay. So the preferable option is wow. Okay, so I'm seeing what you're throwing out now. See, that makes more sense.
Yeah, it makes things a bit difficult. And
No,
of course,
yeah,
trying to
of course.
challenge that analysis is what requires me to seek mental health care, but it just doesn't seem to be working out.
Well, yeah. I mean, I could see how it wouldn't work out if certain types of divulging is not available as an option. So I'm trying to think. Wouldn't the only way to maybe get what you need, it would require the person you're talking to essentially throw various darts until you can recognize which ones hit, and then work on those in a sort of disassociated, disconnected way from yourself? Like, would that be...
Yeah, like that was sort of the approach that when my therapist on our last appointment did take that kind of approach.
Yeah.
It did seem to be working, but according to my therapist, they didn't seem conducive to that kind of method. And
Okay, so...
I have some ideas of how to better smooth out that similar kind of process, but
Yeah.
it's...
Okay, so it sounds like they're not comfortable, or they don't feel like they're trained or comfortable enough in that style to be able to keep doing it, right? Or like effectively? Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Okay, so then that sounds like it's their issue or their difficulty, not yours. because I'm trying to see. At first, I was trying to think of what is the preferable situation. Once you made that very clear, then other approaches would have to be taken, right? If the conventional option is not on the table for reasons you mentioned. So yeah, that's what's interesting is because those types of methods that would probably be more effective would be found in kind of more unconventional forms of I guess what would be considered some unconventional forms of psychotherapy that would basically change the conditions of how the therapy is approached based on the parameters set forth by the recipient, which normally is not a very good idea on average. But I think that when you're talking about schizoids, you need to kind of go with the very unconventional or the counterintuitive in many ways in order to find some kind of ground with them. That's really interesting. Hold on, I think it's oh, I'm just reading the. So yeah, because like I've had this conversation even with my psych when I initially started seeing her like 3 years ago. I would tell her that like I didn't trust. I like immediately, because I was pretty blunt, so I said I don't trust them enough and feel comfortable enough to basically just straight up explain what my problem with people and myself in association with others is. And so I was able to sort of talk about parts of why that was, but I had to do it in this kind of talking about a person that wasn't me sort of way. It was almost like talking about it in like this kind of theoretical, like hypothetical situation kind of way. So I was discussing. I was like, I had to get parts of myself and then apply them to like a homunculus, if you will.
Angst was just asking for a friend.
What?
Angst was just asking
Whether
for a friend.
shut the fuck up. And no, so I had to create this kind of homunculus in my mind of a person, and then apply attributes to them that were kind of internal, like almost like a character creator. And then I had to have my psyche engage with that thing. And then I would be having like a more sort of meta discussion about that sort of tulpa or whatever. And obviously, like, what's interesting is that like a lot of psychologists, I would say, they would probably be like, oh well, this is not, we're not getting to the personal matters, your internal blah blah blah. And if the very problem is that, then obviously you can't go with that being step one, right? And part of the reason I was asking you everything that I wasn't to really make the point that that's what you have to do, but it was more to kind of see where you were kind of coming from. And
Thank you.
yeah, and you're definitely coming from the fucking schizoid as fuck perspective, if you don't mind me saying. So yeah, I want to do a little more reading, and I want to start making more. I don't feel comfortable yet making like specific recommendations of types of therapy that would be like effective, because I'm just a guy on the internet. But I am looking at my own experiences and the experiences of other schizoids that have had some positive results, and then I hear their stories about what aspects of their interactions with their psychologists or therapists have been positive and which ones have been negative, and then I'm trying to see what correlates more often than not, and so I'm going through like I'm looking at other people's discussions on the server regarding psych and therapy and stuff, and what they're averse to and what they don't like about it, and what kind of works or what they wish would happen or how they wish it would happen. And then I'm going to try to get all that and then look into some of the more I guess, radical forms of therapy or unconventional or lesser known forms of therapy that can maybe better match up. And there's some people out there. There's actually some PhDs out there that like proclaim that they have like something that's more effective for cluster A or for schizoid, and that's the problem too. Is the cluster A just as a whole is kind of a mess because you have everything from people that are paranoid and not in any way, shape, or form dealing with the internal problems of a schizoid, but yet they're being lumped into cluster A, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Anyway, but
It's electroshock therapy.
yeah, that's it. That'll fix it. Electro fucking shock therapy. It's like what's the cure for schizoid personality disorder? Lobotomies for everyone. Lobotomies, yay! No lobotomies, guys. No lobotomies. But yeah, sorry, no lobotomies allowed. Yeah, I remember reading a while back. Because technically they still do lobotomies. They just don't. They just do them for like surgically through like an incision, neurosurgery, or but that's only in like extreme conditions that it would require something like that, and only with the consent of the people involved and everything. It's like kind of crazy, but it's far more accurate. Like they can actually incise the specific part that they were attempting to incise when they were doing lobotomies the old school way, which oftentimes led to all kinds of other types of irreparable brain damage that wasn't what they were intending, but nonetheless, yeah.
But it fixed the patient.
Yeah, that's yeah, sure. Yeah, it made the patient quiet and compliant. Yes. But yeah, I mean, yeah, this is exactly the problem I'm talking about. Screech is that it's even if like a schizoid manages to find like they have like insurance or whatever, and they ask their insurance, hey, I need a psychologist. I'm all messed up. And if they don't know, say they didn't even have a diagnosis or anything, and then they go see a psychologist and they try to explain to the psychologist what the issue is and why they stay away from people, why they feel disconnected, and they try to kind of somewhat explain it in whatever kind of like workaround way that they can and that they're comfortable with. You're going to have situations where the psychologist is going to push them to divulge more intimate detail, which is going to be aversive, and instead of the psychologist actually having a discussion on the kind of meta around that in their life, they kind of just become either frustrated or more prone to probe, and then try to make the proclamation that probing in the way that they're probing is and ultimately the best way to do something, and then that the schizoid is basically just running away from what would be effective. And so yeah, that's not how that really works. At least in the case of the Zoid, it's a lot more complicated than that. That's why if you haven't, Eleanor Greenberg, which I've spoken to a few times, she's talked about it before. It's kind of this she's talking about how to set up the environment for the schizoid patient. Something that I've actually thought was really interesting, that it doesn't just have to do with how you talk to them or how it's approached, which is incredibly important, but basically even the physical space that is being provided. If you're going in person, for example, to see a psychologist, is important to basically reinforce the schizoid person's autonomy, even in the space of them going to a psychologist. And so it's just like basically having multiple places they can decide to sit or stand or whatever, basically giving them options and then not telling them where to sit, where to face, what to say, how to say it, not forcing questions that in ways that are not effective, and then maybe trying to work together with the person to find effective ways for that question to be framed. But then also like very kind of like physical things, like not maybe not leaving the door closed, or maybe leaving the door closed depending on their conditions or what they're comfortable with. Having maybe they need to fiddle with something, maybe they need mints, maybe they need just like these kind of all these little options, not to basically ask what the what is, but like to mention what is available and what the options are, and then saying that they are more than welcome to any of those options at any given time, without any questions being asked about why those options were chosen, right? And stuff like that. So just creating that kind of scenario, especially for a schizoid that's like very fresh at that kind of sort of stuff, and dealing with it. But that's only if they know, right? So that's what's interesting. If they don't know, then that's the problem, is that there needs to be more psychologists that are well versed in cluster A personality disorder stuff. Because otherwise, if they get a client that is going in for depression and anxiety, and they have all these thoughts and all this confusion or suicidal ideation and stuff, and it has to do with like these schizoid issues, when they start bringing them up, that psychologist is going to kind of not know what it is that they're dealing with, and they're going to make a lot of incorrect assumptions that will ultimately either be detrimental or cause the schizoid person to further reinforce why they should bother getting any help at all. Oh, my little one just walked in. Give me 1 second. Oh man, the fam life. All right. So anyway, I think I don't know what I was saying, but I don't know. You can tell me if anything I said made any sense there, John or Screech, or however you want to go by it.
That makes quite a lot of sense. Thank you. So yeah, it does start to sound more so like it is a specific instance issue of approaching psychotherapy as opposed to it generally.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, because that's that's what happens to a lot of Zoids. That happened to me early. I would say when I was in my 20s. I Before I even knew about schizoid personality stuff, I had gone for anxiety and depression, mostly for anxiety because I kind of lived with depression a lot, so I was kind of used to managing that. And at that point, it hadn't hit like, well, it hit lows, but like I just managed. But the anxiety was like constantly panic attacks and all kinds of shit. And a lot of my anxiety had to do with like really strange shit, like, well, not strange, but unconventional stuff. Like it was just always like existential shit, and like philosophical conundrums that like, and ethical conundrums that were like fucking with my brain. And so And so then when I would go to see like my first, like one of the first major therapists that I was seeing in my 20s, like all they could do was like keep giving me examples and approaches and things that were not a good fit at all. And on top of that, even their analysis of my anxiety or where it was stemming from, they kept trying to ground it to something more interpersonal, and that's not where my like terror was coming from. It was coming from these kind of I guess idiosyncratic places, but they kept insisting that it must be some kind of um, way of me abstracting out the real problem when the real problem was abstract. If that makes sense. Um, does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. Like, and so um, it wasn't until I got my current psych that was willing to work with me within those boundaries that that I started getting any kind of effectiveness out of it. What was really interesting is that my psych would let me like prattle on for like half the session about whatever was just worrying inside my brain. And I would just kind of loose associate and just kind of stream of consciousness with her sometimes. And so she would just like pay very close attention to the things I was saying and would occasionally inquire questions about the things I was saying without necessarily applying them to me directly. And that would lead to self-discoveries that I would then be motivated to want to explore with them after like, a year or something of like seeing them once a week.
A year? Oh my god.
Well, I mean, it's a slow process. I mean, that's the thing. But in the case of my psych, they weren't like, what's the word? They weren't like some schizoid personality expert or something, right? They just had the intuition and the innate natural talent that kind of allowed, and then I had the kind of temperament that kind of allowed for that to occur. But yeah, it did take a while because they weren't like, I don't think they knew what they were getting into with me, but they were able to adapt over time fairly quickly. And then I would say like the effectiveness of the therapy with my psych hit like breakneck speeds after like the first year.
But you don't feel like you made any progress for a whole year?
No,
started seeing them?
well, I saw it as progress because I was actually comfortable and felt like this person was attempting to understand my perspective instead of applying their perspective to my own. Like in a kind of like intrusive sort of way.
I see.
Yeah, but
It
it
took
took
you a
it
year
took
to
them
kinda,
a
like, open up.
well, it took them a while to figure out how to approach me because they've never had a client like me, and so they and then it took me a while to recognize what was even happening. And remember, it took a significant amount of time to even get to the bottom of my diagnosis to begin with, because this is the person that eventually diagnosed me. And that was only because they did their own research and they looked into it and I looked into it and I had brought it up and then they looked into it and we were back and forth for like a lot of sessions before all this kind of came together. It had come together in my mind, but I needed that sort of kind of external verification of the matter because sometimes I don't even trust my own perspective. Because not because it's not a professional one, but because I need to. It's easier when a person actually understands what I'm attempting to explain about my experience, and then I don't have to tell them what it is, but they come to the similar conclusion, and
Right.
that kind of it's kind of like a form of corroboration like information related corroboration or something, and then that lets me be more comfortable with like a decision about myself when it comes to this particular subject, not like everything. But
So do you have someone who also manages medication?
yeah, well, I had one guy I went to, and he was just fucking terrible. And then I had been on Prozac for a long time from a previous psychiatrist that was okay, but that was before my diagnosis. And so I'm currently seeing a psychiatrist that's fucking 10 times better because they have ADHD and I'm ADHD on top of all this. So they understand those aspects of it. So they're helping me with the ADHD stuff. But they're also incredibly like what's it called? Minutia and context is really important to them. So they're willing to like hear me out and have like a short but intricate conversation on the various side effects and specific things and concerns that are being brought up without, you know, it being a problem to them that I'm like overthinking things or something, because they probably do the
When
same.
you, when
So
you sought them out, were you looking for someone in particular who had SCPD experience? For your
no,
psychiatrist?
when I was looking, well, I didn't know I hadn't gotten a diagnosis. So when
Also, you've seen this person for a long time now.
well, the current person that gave me the diagnosis, I've been with them for like 3 years. And I've been seeing them about once a week, except for this gap because of the insurance where I didn't see him for like 4 months. But for the most
Well,
part,
that's
yeah.
your therapist versus your psychiatrist.
Oh, my
right?
psychiatrist is more recent. Yeah, that's something more
Right.
recent. Yeah, for sure. And they're
And when you found your psychiatrist, did you look for someone who was a specialist in PD, if not
no, because
SCPD?
they don't. That's tough. That's a problem. There's no like when it comes to if you're talking about psychiatry, there's no like they deal with symptoms and specific types of issues and behavior that the person is trying to navigate or kind of they're dealing with specifics of like positive negative symptoms, things like that. They don't really like they don't really go like, oh, I'm the pharmaceutical expert on BPD or SZPD, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I was hoping if you find someone like that, that maybe they have experience treating people with, SCPD, and they would know, I guess, which medications tend to be more effective.
Yeah, but
It's a matter of experience.
the reason I think that's going to be a hard time is because I see if it's like a specific type of neurological issue that can be pointed at, like something like ADHD, it's something a psychiatrist can kind of it's more tangible and approachable. But when you're talking about something like a personality disorder, there's oftentimes not enough data and enough research on that particular personality disorder in regards to the psychiatric pharmaceutical field, right? There's some, and there'll be some stuff, but essentially, I think the best thing to do is it's like anything. This is a problem, like because somebody could be ADHD, right, and then take what I'm taking, which is Straterum, and have like a fucking awful time.
Stratera.
Straterum is like the brand name. Toxo something.
Stratera.
Stratera, fucking whatever. Stratera. And so that's having it seems to be working pretty decent for me. As far as executive function stuff goes, I think it's having some effect after about I think close to 4 weeks of taking it. But it takes a it takes a while. I had side effects. It was weird, but I dealt with them. But if somebody else takes Strattera, it fucks them up like really bad, or has no long-term positives and only like fucking shitty, horrible side effects. And same thing with Adderall. Like somebody else can be like, I took Adderall, it's amazing, it changed my life, and another person's like, oh, it turned my life into a living hell for like 4 months, right? And so, so that's the problem when you're talking about like pharmaceutical stuff, is that like it's hit and miss.
It's really dependent on the patient, not necessarily
Yeah,
on
the PD or
the
the particular condition, right? Like,
It's unfortunate.
well, I mean, when it comes to pharmaceutical stuff, yeah. So that's why I think the most effective route, in my unprofessional opinion, is finding an effective form of psychological therapy that's effective for that particular type of issue or defenses or whatever, and then basically that same person, while in conjunction with that more effective or hopefully more provingly effective form of therapy, um, they're experimenting with a decent psychiatrist that's gives a shit about their work, with various types of either SSRIs or, depending on what the situation is, different kinds of medication. And the problem with psychiatrists, though, is those are also like those are like a crapshoot, man. Like, it's not, I wouldn't say as bad as a crapshoot. Like, the odds aren't stacked against you, but when it comes to psychiatrists, you're either gonna get a psychiatrist that really gives a fuck about their job and they do everything right step by step, or you're gonna have the person that is just half-assing their job and thinks they know everything, and then they're gonna be like, just flinging pills at you, and without doing anything that they're supposed to do appropriately. Like, for
Well, how
example,
would you sniff it out early enough?
I would say,
In your opinion?
I would say, my opinion, again, non-professional. If you talk to a psychiatrist and you're a new patient, and they, you go to the first session and you talk to them and you just kind of bring up what the issues are, whatever, like, maybe some history, whatever you want to bring, whatever you need to bring up, whatever they ask. If they don't ask for you to either provide a very, very recent blood work, or they don't
Blood
ask
work.
you, or they don't ask you to get blood work done, and that they want to see it before they start prescribing things to you that are new, I would say, be careful.
Your psychiatrist asked you for blood work?
Yes.
I've never heard that happen before.
Yeah, they're
I don't know,
medical. They're medical doctors.
Is that just an American thing? Because, I mean, I live in Canada and I was prescribed, I've gone through 2 psychiatrists as well.
I don't know.
They never ask for
I've
blood
gone through
work.
3 psychiatrists. My first 2 didn't really do that. My third one did it, and then I asked her, I'm like, "What? I've never had blood work done with a psychiatrist." And then she's like, "Why wouldn't I get your blood work done? I'm a medical doctor. I need to see these things. I need to see what your blood pressure is, what your lipid stuff is, because otherwise, if I prescribe to you something that has specific side effects, it could detrimentally harm you in some
Well,
significant way." And I'm like, "Yes, that makes sense. Thank you." And so, like, yeah, like, she wanted to see my blood pressure. She wanted to see my certain types of testosterone and like various other things, because she knows what those particular drugs do to those things, and she wanted to just check that out, clear it, and then be like, "All right, yeah, you're good for this, and this is probably going to be good." And then on top of that, she saw something that was kind of concerning, but because that's not her field, she said to talk to my primary about it. And I was like, "Oh shit." And yeah, and I did. And then my primary is like, "Oh yeah, okay, this is something to look into." And so they had me do blood work regarding something else. So yeah, like, psychiatrists are they're medical doctors. They're not like, they're supposed to be able to see like a rundown of basic blood work and know what that shit is. If they don't know that shit, then I don't know what the fuck's going on. That's like, it's kind of like how do I put this? It's like the basics of, it's like the the medical doctor 101 stuff, that they should know some of that shit, and then how the medication they're literally giving people affects those things, those basic things. Like, so like, basically, why the fuck would a psychiatrist be like, "Oh, here, take this and this and that," knowing that that shit raises like your blood pressure, and then not, or fucks with your cholesterol, or fucks with certain other medical issues, and then just run under the assumption, "Oh, well, they're not taking medication for that already, so it must be fine." Yeah, that's kind of bananas to me, because you could just get blood work done so quickly. And then I sent her the PDF of my blood work, and then she looked it over, and then she was comfortable with this and that. And I even asked her to give me I needed some extended release propofol. Can never say it. Propanolol. And she couldn't.
Panel.
Yeah, she could only give me the 10 milligram one because she's like, I can't give you the extended release without you being here and me checking your blood pressure, because that is gonna have an impact on it, like a significant one. So she said, talk to your primary, ask them about the medication, have them look at your charts, and then they can recommend it based on your history of already taking the 10 milligram and them being comfortable enough to prescribe to you the extended release form, which is the kind I'm looking to get so that I can deal with my agoraphobia. So if I want to go out with my family to Disneyland, I won't be having fucking shitting bricks the entire time, and actually be calm and can enjoy my time with my children at this place, this land of horrors, this Disneyland. But yeah, I mean, maybe most psychs don't. I don't know, but I was looking into it, and
I've had it.
I guess
couple in my life.
I guess some do and some don't. I like detailed
the ones
information.
I've had
So
have been through my primary care provider, so I think they do talk to each other. Like if I would have had high blood pressure, they probably would have told me not to take Adderall.
Right.
yeah, but they also might not know about your testosterone and other types of things that might impact mood and behavior as well.
Yeah, no, I'm saying the last psychiatrist has had access.
Oh,
to
okay.
my,
If they have access
blood
to
work.
that and it's recent, then yeah, then I guess that's good. If they had access to it and they use it, they have to use it.
Well, I assume they use it when they were prescribing me medication. Not that it actually worked that well, but it's not really
Yeah.
their fault.
I say self-advocate. Don't assume. Ask if they did, and if they get uppity about you asking questions, red flag. Red flag.
Noted.
If you say like, "Hey, I'm just curious. Did you like happen to see my blood work? I just want to make sure I'm taking something that won't have a negative impact on other possible health issues."
That's fair.
And if they say,
I don't know.
"I know what I'm doing. I know. Don't worry about that. I know." Like if they get uppity, if they get defensive, fucking red flag.
There's a
Fucking
flag
red
on the play
Also,
in yards.
Red card, yeah.
mental
Soccer.
health availability is also really shitty right now, so I don't want to necessarily alienate people that could help me.
Alienate them by asking them like simple questions about.
Not simple questions. I just don't want to, like goad them into like. I don't want to assume that they're not doing their job.
No, for sure. But like you can, I mean, you asked me what my opinion is, so that's my opinion, or somebody
Fair
did. But if
that
you don't have the same level of standard for certain things, that's perfectly fine. I don't give a shit. But my ass just kind of goes like, because I was always uncomfortable with medication early on, because I'm like, how the fuck do these people know what to give me? And
but they don't.
well, yeah,
It's just kind of a crapshoot.
yeah, I know it is kind of a crapshoot, but certain types of medications have certain types of side effects. It has certain types of impact in specific types of ways, and just having that being taken into consideration with me specifically and my fucking anatomy or body or whatever, that's kind of reassuring. That's kind of how I feel about that too. But and in the case of my current psych, that seems to be the case, and that's good. But yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe again, maybe I'm just the luckiest man on earth. Found the best fucking crapshooter into the best psych, crapshooter into the best psychologist and psychiatrist somehow magically, and I'm the bee's knees of the universe. I don't believe that at all. So, but what I'm saying is that if I was able to kind of stumble across it, I would think that somebody that's kind of keeping an eye out or asking very, very subtle questions. I mean, you could even like ask, like, because I know with some insurances, you might be like calling yourself their offices to see if they have availability for new clients. And if that's what you're doing, if you get a hold of them or you get a hold of somebody, you can literally just ask, like, oh, what is usually your intake process before you start prescribing any kinds of new medication? I'm just curious. And if they say, oh, yeah, I do this, I do that, like they just explain their process in a really calm, short, concise way, I consider that to be a good sign.
How
Um,
sketchy is your guys' healthcare down there? Holy fuck.
um,
It's not great.
Like, yeah, fucking, like,
It's-
here, the wait times are like half a year for a lot of shit, but at least we don't have, like, fucking
Well-
insurance breathing down our throats. Holy fuck.
It's a trade-off, I guess. I'd rather get help quick and pay a
Yeah.
lot for it.
But that's the
just
thing. It's fine because if you know how to self-advocate, you can get good, quick and good. But you have to know how to self-advocate.
Yeah,
If-
for
and
me,
you have
that
to be lucky.
like about 70 phone calls within the span of a week and harassing poor fucking secretaries just to
Harass?
get.
You were harassing secretaries, or what happened?
I mean, it took me an entire year to get therapy,
Yeah.
and I
Oh, okay.
got moved up a waiting list because I spent literally like 25
What
phone
country
calls
do you
a
live
day.
in?
Canada.
Oh man, that's a mess
I
out there,
figured
dude.
that's what he was talking about. He said down there. So, yeah, I mean, you
Yeah.
got to realize, like,
Canada's
the
rough
whole of
when it
Gen
comes to
Z
public.
now wants therapy. So, it's going to be a long wait line.
Well, I'm not. I'm using public too because I'm. This is Medi-Cal. This isn't like private insurance that I'm.
Yeah, but you're getting thrown onto the already extant medical system that we have here.
Already what?
The already existing medical system that we
Oh,
have in the
okay.
U.S., which is highly responsive. So
Yeah. It's highly responsive if you're effectively pushing and advocating
well, that
for
too. Yeah,
yourself.
you got to do all that
You
stuff.
have to do it. Yeah, if I were to rely on like their process and their bureaucracy to get the shit that I need, oh, I'd probably be dead. Like like it's so crazy. Like, dude, they fucked up so many times. Like, because it's like Medi-Cal, but then they work through like insurance companies, and they'll like I think it's like HealthNet and Molina or something now, and so
Yeah.
they'll work through those insurance companies, and those insurance companies will fuck shit up all the time. They'll like drop the ball on all kinds of shit. It'll be just like one person made some fucking dumb mistake and it'll just trickle down. And if I don't fucking pay attention or if I don't ask questions, like it could like completely wreck my shit. And that's what it did for my psychologist. Because I I didn't pay attention to certain thing. And then like, yeah, I'm asked out on my psychologist that I've been seeing for like, at that point, almost 3 years for like 4 months. Or it's crazy. And it was because of
So you had to
some
do what
fucking-
now?
They had to what?
You had to do what now?
I had to like
I don't
call and call and tell them, why is this
Okay.
like this? Who switched this? Why is my doctor telling me this when it was
Right.
always like this? Oh, okay, let's look into it. Oh, we'll call you back. Oh, they don't call me back. Okay, I gotta call back the next day. Oh, blah 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 blah. Be on hold. Blah 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 blah. And then fucking,
Yeah.
it's a pain in the ass. I gotta spend hours of my
Yeah.
time just to fucking navigate some level of red tape, bureaucracy, and a tinge of
Oh, I hear
incompetence. And
I know.
but if I just sit there, like, that's what I fucking hate. It shouldn't be like that. I'm not saying the onus should be on the person, right? That's ridiculous. But I know the reality. I'm a pragmatist when it comes to these things. But yeah, if you're
Yeah.
dealing with somebody that's already like dealing with ideation and anhedonia and all kinds of lethargy, and like they're just like way like
Yeah.
they're not even ADHD like me, which is probably what gives me any kind of energy. The fucking yeah, it's like it's a travesty. Like, how the fuck are you gonna expect those people to have to do that? Like, it's crazy. Like, if I would have said nothing and I would have just rolled with the punches and not cared, I wouldn't have a psychologist right now. I wouldn't have this new psychiatrist right now. I would have just been like, I would have stopped taking my medication and just got fucked up from like SSRI withdrawals, and then had no one to talk to about it. And like, you know what I mean? Like if
Well, I mean, like angst, man, you got to realize, I mean, modern day world's all based on like fucking individual taking the initiative, the individual going
It
and
really,
fucking caring
that's
about
fucking
this kind of shit and all
crazy
those things.
when it comes to
No,
some of
so
this
it's
stuff.
the whole meme of fucking personal responsibility and all.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys know about it. I mean, I've explained several times. It's
Yeah.
you know, it's kind of a new invention, sort of. 100
Yeah.
years ago or whatever, if you said personal responsibility, nobody'd know what the fuck you were even talking about.
Yeah,
So,
like, yeah, personal responsibility to a fault. It's
yeah.
that's the problem. It's like, oh well,
Well,
you
the thing
know,
about it is, I mean, you have to think about it also. I mean, we got all this shit going on. This huge fucking civilization, all these fucking big buildings all around me,
uh,
all this shit going on. All
yeah.
that shit doesn't come out of nowhere. Like, people
Well,
have to
of
care
course
about
not.
all
But
that
there's more
shit, or it
human.
will not.
I would assume there's more shit, but there's also more humans to navigate and mitigate that shit. But the problem
But
is
that's
that
what I'm talking about. Those
they're not
humans
mitigating
have
and
to.
navigating it in any
They
particularly good
have
way.
to care about it, though. Angst.
Yeah,
That's the number one
yeah.
thing, is that
So I
they have to
guess
care
yeah, we
about
got to put that in public schooling. How to care.
it. Yeah,
How to
that right. But
care,
the fact of
class.
the matter is, though, Angst, is that most people don't care about the vast majority of this shit that's around us. That's
Until
the
it
real
affects
problem.
them, right? And it's not how that always
Even when it
works.
affects them, a lot of times they don't.
I
That's
think they
just
do
the
when it
truth of the
affects
matter.
them. When it affects them, they don't
It
like it.
depends on how much it affects them. It's got to really affect them. If it's barely a fucking mosquito bite, they don't give a fuck. It's just a fucking mosquito
Well,
bite.
yeah, of course, nobody cares about a fucking mosquito bite, but mosquito bites
Right, but
tend to
I'm talking
pile
about
up.
that level of shit. Right, but that level of shit is common, common. Right
Yeah.
now, my apartment could be cleaned up. Right, my apartment could be fucking sparkling clean. I can't be bothered to fucking give a fuck about it. And if I
Well,
gave a fuck
okay.
about it, then it'd be cleaned up
What's
tomorrow.
stopping you? Depression or just being a lazy bitch?
It's not even either one of those. It's not unenthusiasm, which is being a lazy bitch, right? And it's not even depression necessarily. It's literally it's just that they don't give two fucks about whether or not it's sparkling clean or not. I
Okay,
just
well,
don't give two fucks.
who cares?
So if you had
That's
people
what
over,
I'm
you
just
would,
said. I just said it's a matter of not caring. So most shit in the world, just nobody cares about it enough to make it happen. And
Yeah.
if you don't,
Peop-
if no human being cares about it, then it's not going to happen.
Yeah, like people feel deeply alienated in most aspects of their lives
Right.
because
That's what he's talking about. Is alienation, what you could call
yeah,
it. Right.
like people are so like the economic base of society is entirely out of control of most people. It's
That too. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that.
far-reaching
Everybody's
consequences.
aware of that.
Yeah, that's why you got to work within the horrible conditions that you might be in, and fucking self-advocate and navigate, and then also maybe find small communities in which similar troubles are being occurring, and they might be able to give you advice on how they self-advocated and navigated their situation, and then you find support through that means. I mean, that's all you can really fucking do. That's what I see happening. That's what I'm trying to do right now. Talking to fucking Screech here. So and hopefully if they do something and it fucking works, or the work I'm doing, in fact, they can fucking pass that shit down to somebody else they come across, dealing with a similar issue, and they'll have an answer to that question, and so on and so forth. The propagating of information that's effective for specific types of situations. So it's just problem solving or whatever.
Yeah.
I just don't. I mean, that's all you can do, and I think I hope that I'm hoping, because I'm an optimist, but I'm also a nihilist. But I'm an optimist. Is that I'm hoping that the fucking Zoids that get some positive effect from whether it's the streams or the channel or the server, and they find shit that they couldn't find before, or they regain more connection to their emotions or to other human beings, and so on and so forth, through a variety of things. I'm hoping that if they fucking do that, they don't just like forget about, oh, I feel great now, fuck everybody. Like, I'm hoping they've metacognated enough and introspective enough over the fucking years that they might want to be like, oh man, That sucks. I know that it's, there's people saying that they're going to be like this forever and there's no hope, but I know otherwise. So I should say something. I feel like I want to say something or help in that regard. And I've seen schizoids do that now. They're doing it right now. They're doing it on the server through chat. They'll sometimes do it in VC. Sometimes they're doing it privately. But point is, they're doing it. And if more of that occurs, then that's more fucking, uplifting of the fucking situation. Make it maybe goes from prognosis poor to prognosis moderate. So that's how I see it. Maybe I'm just a fucking idiot. But I am way past. I'm 13 minutes past my usual time where I end it. But this has been a fascinating little conversation. I appreciate anybody that's here. Let me double check chat just to make sure because I got kind of caught up there. It's also a form of trust. If someone can correctly attribute... Oh, okay, you're reading about the involuntary effort. Yeah, no, for sure. It's all practice for a reason. It's all about me since the me generation, endless summer of self-indulgence. Yeah, no. Oh, it's no bueno. In any case, okay. I think I call it, like, recently I came up with like this word in my head. It's like emotional hedonism. Like, it's like this weird, like, well, I got mine. Like, type of mentality is just fucking toxic, dude. Yeah, nothing's getting better if everyone goes, well, I got my bag. I got mine. Like, it's just, that's gonna be shit. And then when your bag is no longer fucking in your hands, you're gonna be crying about how, fucking, why isn't anything being done about it? Well, because you were the same dumb motherfucker that said, well, I got mine when you got yours. Fucking idiot.
Right.
Anyway.
I got mine.
Yeah, it's fucking idiotic.
Did I get mine? I don't even remember if I got mine.
I don't think you got yours. But I hope you do. And I hope when you do, you don't just abandon everything. In regards to helping people that haven't gotten theirs. In any case, all right. Thanks a lot for joining me on the stream. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Screech, and everybody else that was here. If you want to support the work I do and what I'm trying to do, just with the content creation and stuff, please support me through Patreon, PayPal. It's always really effective. I really appreciate it, guys. Eventually, once I get this tax exempt thing and the NPO done, that's going to be its own separate kind of revenue thing. And I'm going to have to basically I'm going to be doing that under my, this is going to be tough for me, but I'm going to be doing that under my actual name. I can't do it under Schizoid Angst. So that's going to be separate. My content creation and that kind of stuff, it's going to remain Angst, but anything that I do with the NPO I'm trying to work toward, it's going to be under my actual name.
Dox yourself.
Well, I have to. Because I can't do it under my pseudonym. If I'm going to be separating it from the content creation. So, it gets to that point where you have no choice. But to say your name, what your name fucking is. So, I don't know. Plenty of fucking content creators are public about their name. I think I'll be okay. In any case, and plus I've doxed myself a few times already by accident, so I don't really care. I'm not
doxed.
I'm not interesting. I'm not interesting or controversial or abrasive enough that I have to worry about anyone caring. What? I'm gonna piss off a schizoid and they're gonna do what? Unsubscribe and ghost me? Like,
it might happen if they get really
they get real angry. They're gonna leave a real mad message to me.
That's right.
Like I'm just, it's I'm not really going after anything that's gonna like put me in any significant amount of whatever. But in any case, unless I was like some kind of content creator where I'm like, I'm going after, criminals, or something like that. Like, oh shit. Yeah, don't dox yourself, dude. Anyway, but in any case, thanks a lot, and I appreciate the support and everything else, guys.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you guys jumping on and talking too, because hearing these stories, hearing these struggles, and all that kind of bullshit is the only way other people can relate to it and then connect to it, and then even if they're just lurking, maybe take some advice or find something useful in it. And then I don't care if they never thank me, I don't care if they never leave a comment or even say a single fucking thing on the server. If something effectively, positively changed in their situation, they could take that to their fucking grave and I never have to know about it. And I'm perfectly fine with that. And to those that do share it, I'm also happy to read it as well. All right. Talk later, guys, as usual. Oh, by the way, if anybody wants to hang out after this, I'm going to be in the usual channel. Angst loves or likes awful media. But anyways, when day is dark, always remember, happy day.